Welcome to Idaho Trauma Therapy. My name is Hillary Cook. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and today I'd like to show you sand tray therapy. Sand tray therapy can be used across the lifespan, but commonly used in play therapy for children. I often use it in my initial consultation with a child. It kind of helps me get a picture of what's going on with them, and it's a really non-invasive way to get to know a child and to get to know what they're thinking about and some of the major things that are going on in their lives and in their thought processes at the time. So let me take you over to my little sand tray center. And this sand tray has a really fine grain sand in it. It's very smooth and soft and just kind of fun to play in. So one thing that we can do is sand play therapy. Sand play therapy is just where you let the child play in the sand. Maybe they just want to feel it, they want to dig around in it. We also have some tools that they can use for sand play. So for sand play, we have this nice little rake here, so maybe they just want to sit here and they're just going to rake the sand. Maybe they're going to talk about it, maybe they're not going to talk about it, and we're just going to have to be really perceptive about what's going on for them. I might ask them a prompt if they're just doing that for a while, like, tell me what's going on. And maybe they're going to tell me, and maybe they're not, and they don't feel safe yet. So this is just them getting safety in our playroom. We have this nice roller, and they're just going to roll it, and I can tell by how hard they're pressing, or how soft and gentle they are, like some of their emotions and some of maybe what they're going through. We also have, in this box, all our scary objects are in here, so maybe they're going to take this zombie and they're going to bury it, and that means something for me too. So the next thing that we can do, other than sand play, is giving a direct prompt and doing sand tray therapy. So sand tray therapy, the most common prompt that I'm going to give is, show me your world. And that just kind of leaves it wide open for the kiddos. And so you saw the first box. The first box has scary objects and sand play things. And so we have several other boxes of little figurines. So when I say show me your world, they're going to use these figurines to create their world in the sand. In some offices that you see, you might see therapists have rows on shelves of all their little objects, and mine I put in baskets. I think it's really therapeutic for the kids to just sort through, and they get to touch everything, and it just kind of engages their mind in a different way, especially my kids that are tactile learners, where they get to touch it all. It's really hard if it's all on the shelves, or they're maybe afraid to touch it, or maybe they can't reach everything or see everything fully. This, you get the full experience of all the little objects. So let's see what we've got. So each box has different themes. This box has all of our vehicles. This is a little magic bus. We have rescue vehicles in here. We have Thomas the Train, some very fancy cars. So we got all sorts of different little vehicles in here. Monster truck, you might just have to run over something. The next one has animals and sea life in it. A giant whale, zebras. Some kiddos, instead of using, or some people, instead of using the people box, they're going to use animals because that's easier for them to identify people in their family and in their life using animals. The next box we have has nature items. It has borders and boundaries in it. It also has all of our structures in it. So, yellow submarine, a cupcake castle, a fountain, some little houses, a bridge, a giant sun, a wishing well. The next one has all of our magical and religious things. We have a crystal ball in here, an angel, a cross, R2-D2, a little alien, chocolate chip. There's just all sorts of little mystical things, fairy tale. Now all those goodies are in that box. our last box has people. So we have superheroes and astronaut, a doctor, a Monchichi, count. There's a bride in here, all sorts of different people, villains, lots of army guys, some WWF. So, way they kind of get a little bit of everything, and they're going to go ahead and put them in the sand, and then after they're all done, then we're going to process the sand tray. I'm going to have them name it, we're going to take a picture of it, and then they're going to tell me what they can about it. The nice thing is like once you're going through all of this, maybe the kid, it just like really calls out to them like, R2-D2 needs to go in my tray. And you might think, well, of course it does. They love R2-D2. And then we're processing the sand tray and they're like, R2-D2 reminds me of my little brother. And they're going to tell me about why that is. Or I just have this really like meaningful person in my life, and like this really reminds me of like my favorite teacher, and she was really there for me. Or it could just be something really simple because they're younger and maybe they don't function as much, and they're just going to tell me like, this reminds me of a dream I had, or something like that. So we get all sorts of things that come out in the sand tray, and sometimes it's all fantasy, and sometimes it's really real. There's different ways to process the sand tray. Different therapists view it differently, like as far as different quadrants where one's the past, one's the future, one's the present. And so you can just kind of see how so much can come out in a sand tray. And doing it across the lifespan, you could do it at different times for teens if they're going through something, sometimes just getting under all of that. And just letting them use objects that resonate with them and see what comes out. I used it for women who are going through a divorce and just letting them see what their lives look like now. And then in a few months, do it again and then reprocess and see how much has changed and how much of what was going on maybe has morphed into something that's healthier, or maybe he's gotten worse, like we don't know, but this kind of helps us get a snapshot of that moment, what was really important. And with kids, we usually process it, we do these periodically so that we can see if there has been change, where the emotions are, and a lot of these different objects can show different emotion depending on if they're buried or where they're placed. So if they have themselves up in a corner and all of their family is down here in this other corner, you know, what's creating that distance? We see lots of bridges and boundaries and fences put up between people or around a school or around grandma's house, and like, what does that mean? There's just so much you can learn in such a short amount of time about what's going on in a child's world. And so the next video will show a different type of sand tray called mandala sand tray. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining me.